sectors in Weiss's next lap. Oh, and out of nowhere, Beastover jumps into P2, taking away that dominant third place from Dungeon, as now it's a 3-4 finish for Mercedes as the news only starts to get worse and worse for them. But looking over at Jerry Pecco, he's now on his way to start his final proper lap attempt. He's only got one more chance to make it into the shootout, and he needs a 1 minute free. On top of that, Cynex is also doing the same as well. He was only able to barely clip his way into qualifying, but he needs to finish his outlap fast if he wants to make another attempt. And Jerry Pecco, yeah, and Jerry Pecco is about to finish his outlap as well. So Jerry Pecco, in complete danger of losing his position to Moto, now begins his final lap attempt. But remember, Canada is well known for pretty aggressive track limits. Jerry Pecco ends up tapping a wall on his way through, so he's gonna lose a little bit of speed from that. But it's nothing serious if he can make a recovery, as that's only maybe gonna lose him maybe 200ths. And if Jerry Pecco can get a good lap outside of that, he should probably have enough to dethrone Moto. Is he going to clip the curb? Yes, he does, but it's less severe than normal. It's not enough to completely shake off his pace. So Jerry Pecco starts it with a yellow sector, but it's not by much. If he improves on his lines, he may just be able to get a good sector here. He's looking for a line to take. He goes for it, and how good is the second sector? We'll see in just a moment. Wait, give it just a second. It's a green sector. That was a pretty good sector from him. So if he can just close it all out in the final sector, it might be enough to dethrone Moto at the very end. Has Jerry Pecco got the pace needed to dethrone Moto and make it into the shootout? Ooh, not quite. But he got very close though with another 1 minute point 7. And now we cut back to Cynex, who just finished his lap. Okay. And the qualifying positions for everyone who made it in doesn't shift, as Moto just barely squeezes by to make it into the shootout. And he's got one more lap to try and prove his worth, and he improves his position on Red Jelly, just to prove that even if he did get that position, then he probably would have immediately taken it back from Jerry Pecco. A very dominant showing from Moto.
See. That's...
Wait a minute, are there only 2 qualifying sectors?
Yeah, that's it, that's both.
Wait, there's only 2 qualifying... Why didn't nobody tell me? It's free in Apex, so I thought it should be free here. Right, okay, so I did not expect that. That is not your avatar. That is not your avatar. I'm sorry. But, like... Are you...
Well, it's stated...
Someone get the 2002 McLaren off the track. No, I don't want you to show your bigger queso, Ayrton. I don't want you to show your bigger queso. Stop it. No, stop. Stop it. No. What have I signed up for? What have I signed? Oh, no. Right then. So we're waiting for all the cars to line up. It's been a pretty good qualifying session for AlphaTauri, who make it onto the who make it onto the fourth row of the grid quite consistently. But at the front, the thing that's been could someone get Queso off the map? It's getting too distracting for me.
It's okay. You're the comment. I don't know why you. Okay.
Anyway, so looking down the row, the wingman of Ferrari didn't particularly have the best lap time, but to make up for it, YC ended up slapping it on pole position, and Moto did a pretty good job as well, bringing it all the way to P5. A great result for the Alfa Romeo team, as now that other driver lines it up to where they are on the grid, which is significantly further back.
I have to... How about...
It was also a really good qualifying session for Beastover as well, who's shown some really good pace near the end of the session and put it onto Q2. Could this be his first win of Apex Racing 21 after a lackluster AWC season has left him trailing behind? Could Beastiver prove his worth here and now? We've got the lap count revealed. It's going to be 29 laps. And so we wait for the 5 red lights. All the drivers ready for a new season of Apex Racing 2021. Who's gonna be the driver on top? Will it be a repeat pattern? Will we find anyone new topping the charts? Will it be YC leading both seasons? Will and God forbid, will Jerry Pecco finally be able to get a win in a league race? Again, all those questions are buzzing in the air, but it can only be answered once the 5 red lights have gone to bed. I couldn't think of anything about that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, in Q2, I was spectating Dungeon, and he had a decent Sector 1, but he abandoned it because his Sector 2 was not on point. He was looking to beat Ysai. He wasn't that far off Ysai's first sector. But, yeah, obviously, 5 red lights will be going out soon. Ferrari on pole. Will the Ferrari be on the top step of the podium at the end of the race? We'll just have to wait and see. The 5 red lights are going up. 3rd light, 4th light, 5th light.
I'll do
all
the race
5 red lights.
Because I'm gonna the race out. Okay. It's lights out and away we go, and YC ends up getting a pretty good launch, but Beastiver isn't too far back as the other drivers are now starting to catch up as well. Mercedes actually have a particularly solid start as now Dungeon has found his way up the standings. But look at Jerry Pecco. He's made an absolute launch up the standings, briefly making it into 3rd, as now all of the drivers are conglomerating on top of each other, and Sinex flips his car on the first lap. I think it might have been a little bit difficult to tell where the line may have been in that instance there. But now it's Beastiver who has a particularly good pace, but YC is in the lead of the race at lap 1. Again, Moto is also looking to make it quite consistent as well. Jerry Pecco is trying to make as big of a cut up the standings as he can. And overall, we've got a race start which is pretty reflective of the qualifying.
Bit top half of the race was Dungeon getting back into P2 after Beastiver stole it. And now Sinex thinks is last, and obviously that big incident has lost him a lot of time. There was also another racing point that pretty much did the exact same thing, but he didn't.
We're also starting to see a bit of a split in the standings now, as now there are 2 drivers that are breaking out in the front. Dungeon Master and YC, who are both looking to be particularly equal in pace, but currently it's Dungeon standing on top. But who knows how long that's going to take to shift, as Dungeon ends up tapping the side of the track. His vehicle goes slightly airborne, and that's going to lose him a little bit of pace, as now YC is trying to find the same lines that Dungeon is. But here's the thing, YC is on the medium, so he is going to be trying to play the long game with Dungeon, as Dungeon is currently the leader of the race, but considering his softs, who knows how long that's going to last. And also, Jerry Pecco now has a 3-second gap on Dungeon, clearly showing that Jerry is starting to slip his pace a little bit. Okay, there's also been an overtake from Moto on Heya. It's clearly being shown that Moto knows his way around this track quite well. He is currently the carrying force for Alfa Romeo in the points. His car has a little bit of a shake, but he's overall fine. Cutting back to the front of the grid as well. YC nearly ends up tapping the curb, but he's fine. And did you notice something? Oh, and Moto ends up flipping his car on the outside of the track, and that immediately ends all of the pace that he initially had, and already causes for a DRS break in the cars. Oh my God, Moto is gonna have to put in quite a lot of effort to try and bring himself back into some decent points once again. As now, Poganaldo actually doesn't have that good of a line either. And just in front of him, on a really good run for the Williams team, is Haunted YT, who's been able to find his way into 7th place, and now he's in a battle to keep that position with Pocanaldo. And again, it's somewhat unclear to see who's going to be able to break out in front. But also, speaking of the front, if we look at the very front, it's actually Dungeon Fanatics who's made a DRS break on YC. In the recent races, the Swedish missile has been looking particularly untouchable, but he may have found someone to challenge him with Dungeon. Although Dungeon does end up making a bit of a mistake and bleeding some time, but he is still in the lead, and he does have some time to burn. But granted, he has broken that DRS break, as now, when they are on a straight, YC isn't going to be too far behind.
The laps that have been set so far is 9th in the best laps, and he's still ahead. And that is just because YSI has been slowing down a bit. I'm not sure what happened, he might have made some mistakes, but I'm not sure how long Dungeon will be holding on to that P1 for. But YSI is still very close to him. 1 second is still very close. He is still just in the DRS zone of Dungeon as they now get into the DRS zone, and I don't think YSI has any DRS. No, he doesn't.
Oh, funny buggy DRS. We love Project Apex. Okay, yeah. but YC, despite not having DRS, is actually making it quite close to Dungeon, as he repeats the same mistake as he made before. So he's not going to be breaking away if he keeps consistently making that. Excuse me, I just had to cough. So, there's also a battle for the podiums as well, as the Mercedes of Hayar and the Red Bull of Beastava are juking it out to try and see who's got the podium spot. Oh, and Dungeon Fanatics makes a major mistake. I think he might have clipped a track limit, as now he's lost the lead that he once had, and it's gone to YC, who's kept it consistent lap after lap after lap. As the reigning champion now brings himself into the spot he's now all too familiar with. As now, the two AlphaTauris, Jerry Pecco and Red Jelly, must have lost some pace along the way, as they've started to fall down the standings quite a bit, and now the two teammates are in their own battle. Hayar actually has a pretty shaky approach into the next corner as well, so he's not going to be able to get much speed from that. As now, Mercedes have gone from topping the time charts to having an uphill battle against Beastava and the current champion YC.
Obviously, one of the most consistent drivers. As I said before qualifying started, it's not about the one lap wonders that people have had. It's about the consistency and what you do in the race. No mistakes. You can't make any mistakes. And look what Dungeon has done. He is now 3 seconds, nearly 4 seconds behind YSI, and that is what happens. 2 seconds, YSI is ahead of Beastava, who is in second place. Beastava only gains 6 thousandths of a second on YSI. But yeah, obviously YSI is very dominant so far.
Dungeon has actually made an incredible recovery. He's already brought himself into the DRS zone of P3. So if he can keep that focus he had when he was leading, he might just be able to fight his way back to the podium. And if he can still make use out of those softs after all this time, then he may even still have a chance to gun at the lead, considering that he was briefly making time on YC when they were both duking out with each other. However, looking at the rest of the standings, it's still a podium. It's not quite a podium battle between Heian and Beastava now, but it might turn into that if Dungeon catches up. But it looks like Beastava is the one who currently has the best hand, as he's even starting to make time on YC now as he starts to close the gap more and more. Could the Red Bull driver finally have his big break in AR21 after again having such a lackluster season in all the other racing divisions he's entered? This could be his thing if he ends up catching up to YC, and we could have another Red Bull Desert Ferrari story going on. Especially considering the Mercedes have also found their way into the standings too. And also, there's been a pretty big break-off as well, as Red Jelly has found a 4-second gap on Jerry Pecco, who has slowly been falling through the standings more and more and more, as he's still in that battle with Pocanaldo, albeit with a bit more of a gap to speak of. But also, Dungeon Fanatics is now only starting to creep up closer and closer to fighting back for the podium positions, as now, I think he's within DRS range, and there's been another position shift. Hold on, I think YC might have made a mistake. Did YC end up hitting one of the track limits? Yes, he did. YC tapped the track limit, and now, all of a sudden, Beastava is the one leading the race. But of course, there are some words to be said about that from Hayar, as he doesn't want to lose that potential lead that Mercedes have gotten. They've shown that they have the pace needed to lead the championship, and they pretty much just need to prove that they can keep it consistent. As now they're actually passing one of the back markers of the Williams, who's just sort of enjoying his time there. He's just happy to be there. But I can tell you the top three definitely are on saving any room for smiles on their face. They are full focus right now. If one of them taps one of the brutal track limits of Canada, that could end their race. And it's looking very even for the three drivers now. The tragic Red Bull of Beastaba, the upcoming legend of Hayar, and the consistent defender of YC. Hayar finds a line. He gets it. And now it's Mercedes leading the race, going into the next lap. But again, it's going to be somewhat difficult to tell who's going to be leading all the way, as all the drivers on mediums in that section. Dungeon is also looking to try and get a jump as well. Mercedes currently have the most points for constructors, but again, will they be able to keep that pace considering how rapid someone is able to lose it all in Canada? Again, we'll just have to wait and see as we're waiting for someone to get a good amount of grip. Beastaba actually finds a really nice line for that curve, as now he's looking to try and get a jump on Hayar, who didn't quite have the best pace going into that curve. It's very even between the two drivers. I think Beastaba might just have a little bit more speed as they're now fighting wheel to wheel for the position. Beastaba gets a particularly tight line. I think he might have the position. I'm not too sure though. We'll have to wait until the next split timing because of the lag and stuff. Okay. So it's still Hayar leading, but that gap is slowly shrinking as the podium battle comes down to less than a fifth of a second for all of the drivers there. And there's a yellow flag in sector 1 as we seem to have a crash. It doesn't call for a safety car, but one of the drivers are out. I'm not entirely sure who it is because their spectating camera has already closed, but the stewards will have to tell me what happened there. However, nobody overtook during the yellow flag, so we should be fine.
Someone flipped in sector 1.
Oh right, there was a flip in sector 1. Got it. And now Hayar is the one who's found the most paces. Beastaba, after having such a good run, ends up hitting a track limit, and now he's been put a couple of seconds back. And YC now looking to try and get back that lead. He had Hayar and Beastaba for so long. It'll all come down to who makes the mistake first. Is Ferrari still going to be on top, or will Mercedes finally be able to find some pace in Apex 21? They showed that they were particularly consistent in the practice sessions, but it's looking like they're just as good in the race.
Chaos has still held on to that lead, even with Beast making that mistake, and has cost him 3 seconds. Y-Side obviously profited from that. 3 attempts, however, to Chaos.
I think Hayar might have tapped the track limit. No, wait.
Chaos has lost.
Yeah, Hayar ended up tapping a track limit, and he gives YC the position. As now it's once again delegated to a P2 battle between Beastaba and Hayar. YC is now once again leading the race in a particularly dominant position with a 3-second gap. But whether YC will be able to keep that consistency he's known for, we'll just have to wait and see. At this point, this isn't even a game of pace. This is a game of consistency. And as someone figures that out and sacrifices some of their pace to make sure they can't hit the track limit, that may be a risk-reward that they will have to take. And of course, now that we're about halfway through the race, the drivers are going to start questioning whether they'll need to take it into the pits.
Beastava, obviously now 3 seconds behind Y-Side. Y-Side got that P1 back after losing it from a mistake that Dungeon obviously made, and then getting that P1. Y-Side had it again, but then he also made that mistake and lost it. But now he's watched everyone else make pretty much the exact same mistake, and now he has also gone back to the lead. It's been a very chaotic race in terms of standings. Not sure what's happened with
Hold on, I think that might have been a mistake from one of the drivers. I think that might have been Jerry Packer who lost quite a bit of pace. But also, let's take a moment to look at Moto as well, because after making such a catastrophic mistake near the beginning, he's cleaned up his act and he's made it to P6. And in fact, he's actually starting to catch up on Dungeon Fanatics as well, who has been starting to make quite a couple of mistakes after breaking DRS from YC. That may be the furthest gap that he leads the race from here, as now, all of the other drivers are praying that YC ends up making a mistake, because the track limit Meister may not be as good as he seemed on one of the most punishing tracks for track limits.
Gone back to another mediums. Dungeon has gone to another set of mediums, and hopefully those can get him some more time. Obviously, he lost position to Red Jelly from that pit, but he will gain it back soon. Obviously, the people ahead of him will have to pit as well. So he has done an undercut. Dungeon has...
Yeah, like you said, Dungeon has cut into the pits, and he's switched over to the mediums now. Whether that's going to be able to help him control his pace after a not so successful stint on the softs, we'll have to wait and see. And YC ends up tapping another track limit. He's not quite been overtaken yet, but he's under pressure by Heya and Beastiver, as it really does show that the gap between the drivers is only one track limit's worth. And now that YC has given Heya and Beastiver DRS, whether they're going to be able to convert that into anything successful, we'll just have to wait and see. Heya has the DRS, Beastiver has the DRS, they weren't robbed by bugs in the game. And now, it's back to that same three-piece battle, as also, I think Dungeon might have made a mistake as well, as he's now falling down the order to Moto and Red Jelly, as Moto finds himself back into the qualifying position that he initially found himself in. But going back to the front-running battle, YC is looking to be the driver with the most pace, but Heya has proved himself over and over and over again to be able to take similar lines to YC and still make them work. They're also passing one of the ag markers in the form of the racing point as well. Whether that's going to be able to act as a trump card for YC to be able to get DRS, that'll depend on if the racing point is still ahead of him going into the DRS zone, but that could be very handy for YC if it is. Beastiver ends up making another mistake. He's tapped the track limit, and now he's out of this battle. It's now a two-piece battle between Heya and YC. Does YC get DRS from the back marker? I don't think he did. No, he didn't. The racing point was just a little bit too slow to offer him any form of DRS. What? Hold on, we're gonna have to have an investigation into that later, because Beastiver opens his DRS with a 4-second gap from Heya. How the hell did that happen? If there wasn't proof before that the DRS detection was jank in this game, that right there is definitive. Like, how? Either way, Heya is still trailing behind YC, but YC has now broken out of the DRS zone. So if YC can keep things consistent now, he's ended this battle. But then again, Heya is a master at finding unreasonable pace. So, like, at a curve, he probably shouldn't be able to get pace in. He's able to find gaps in that rather than in the traditional curves. As it's been proven so far that YC is a king of those traditional curves, but Heya still able to... Actually, no, he didn't even get DRS from the back marker that was there. Honestly, I don't get the inconsistency of the DRS in this game. Either way, it's looking like after such a close battle, YC is the one who's emerged on top. But who knows how long that lead's going to stay. He's already clipped into a track limit at the worst possible point 2 times this race, so who knows whether it's going to happen again.
I mean, YC has still stayed in P1. It's been quite a few laps now. Obviously, Heos is catching up and then falling back down again. But he has some back markers. I'm not sure if he's getting DRS or not. Project Apex needs to fix their mechanics. But, yeah, obviously, he is staying between that 1 and 2 second mark.
Now, here begins the age-old question. What are they going to do in the pit stops? I think one of them are going to try and go for softs while the other one tries to stall it out. If you remember the 4th round of the United States Grand Prix, Jerry Pecco was in a battle with YC, and he was stalling lap after lap after lap on worn hards just so he could get softer mediums for the end of the race, and it very nearly worked. He got within half a second of YC in a hat. So it's clearly shown that strategy has quite a lot of merit, and that might be what Heya needs as the gap now increases to 2 seconds. And we have a yellow flag in sector 1. I think one of the drivers might have flipped again. No! We have a crash from the Williams of Corn Phoenix! And that might be a safety car if that ends up leaving any debris on the track. We'll just have to wait and see. What is the official steward's call? Is there going to be a safety car? Now, Heya dives into the pits as there's a safety car. Heya dived in at the absolute perfect time. Beastava ends up missing it, and so too does Wisey. This could be incredible for Heya as he now puts on the softs as Wisey is now wearing out his mediums, trying to catch up to the safety car. And it's a dream pit stop for the Mercedes of Heya. Is anyone else going to try and pit under the safety car? Pocanaldo doesn't go for it. Dungeon Fanatics refreshes his softs. Red Jelly goes in to get some new softs as well, and so does the Alpine. Cynex does as well. Jerry Pecco may have crashed a long time ago, so this could be one of the backmarkers' chances to get a jump. As now the three drivers who ended up pitting for fresh softs were Heya, Dungeon Fanatics, and also Red Jelly. Those three drivers now have a particularly good shot to jump up the order. And just in time as well, Thunder Tensu goes into the pits and gets presumably new softs. Yes, he does. This could actually be McLaren's chance to finally gun for more points. As now, Beastava, after missing it on the first lap, goes in for new softs on the second lap. He might end up losing position for doing that. But yeah, Wisey, in the meantime, has also been able to gun for some new softs as well, as everyone is slapping on that soft compound tire while getting up to the safety car. Okay, quick question. Do they have to maintain position at the safety car, or is it an all-out brawl like in Apex?
They can bunch up behind the safety car. They don't... Just no overtaking the safety car.
Okay, so they can get as close as they want.
Yeah, just not overtaking the safety car.
So basically just maintaining position is what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean,
okay, this is essentially a status reset for all of the drivers. YC is going to lose the advantage he once gotten. Moto guns it all the way up to P2 after making a gutsy decision to not pit. As now the two drivers who are very like familiar with each other. Actually, now Moto is going into the pits. Never mind. Presumably he's going for softs, but that might end up losing quite a bit of positions considering how late he's gone for that pit stop. As now it's YC who's at the front of the safety car, but Beastava is the person who goes to the safety car in second. Heya is pulling out, but where the rest of the line is going to form when that is done is in the question. Moto. Hang on, did Moto just overtake under the safety car? I think Moto might have just overtook under the safety car. Did he?
Couldn't.
Oh wait, no, that's one of the back markers. But then wait, why are one of the back markers like scrambling in front of the safety car?
Back markers should be overtaking.
Oh right, Pogo should be overtaking. Yeah, there's a bit of confusion as the safety car is going through, but now all drivers are making a mad scramble to make it up to the safety car, especially Thunder Tensu, as this is essentially a roadblock for the cars in front. If Thunder Tensu can make it to the safety car in time, then he's given the McLaren team a second chance at life. However, he has to cross half the track, and there's a pretty good chance that the safety car could be coming in this lap. So it might end up being fruitless for Thunder Tensu to try and gun into the points. Yeah, but this also provides a chance for Red Jelly to make a second jump as well in the dying 7 laps of the race. Moto is now at the front as well with fresh softs, and considering the pace he's been making, the front flip. Okay, hold on. We've now got orders that the safety car is going to be in by the next lap. That gives Thunder Tensu just enough time to catch up to the safety car and then make a jump for the points. Okay, and now it's Moto pitting, and so is Heya to get even fresher softs. That may end up biting into their overall position. However, is this going to be a risk for the Mercedes team that they're going to want to take? Again, we're going to see how this pans out going into the next section of the race. And now, okay, the safety car has been confirmed to be in this lap. If the drivers haven't caught up to the safety car, they're going to be kicking themselves now. Okay, Dungeon Fanatics, who previously shown to have some pretty good burst pace, now has a pretty good chance catching up to the other drivers, considering the opportunity he's got. Pocanaldo has also found his way into 4th place after deciding to make a super early pit stop. And now the question is, what driver is going to get off the Hang on. Hold on a second. Hold on. Did Beastover just completely cut one of the corners under a safety car? What?
I think he's trying to get rid of his tachometer.
Maybe that's legal, I don't know. Okay, the safety car is about to come in, and now it's absolute chaos as every driver is starting to bundle themselves up as close as they can. It's actually getting kind of difficult to tell where the positions are, as everyone is absolutely desperate to get a good position out of this safety car. The House of Coggen jumps up to 3rd place, and now we've got an absolute bundle of new faces at the front. Lead-ins actually very briefly leads the race, but Wisey jumps in front. Dungeon Fanatics now orders himself into that position. Cynex has put himself in a good position as well. Moto takes it a bit wide. This could be a good opportunity for Red Jelly to gun into more points. There might be a huge DRS train coming up as a bunch of drivers pop it. What drivers are going to end up going through the front? Leader, at the very briefly leading the race, is now falling down the order again. Cuts one of the strike limits wide. Dungeon Fanatics is now trailing on YC with Cynex and Beastover just behind. Red Jelly's also making a gun for it as well with the AlphaTauri team. Could they end up pulling a rabbit out of the hat and potentially getting a podium or a win? We might end up seeing that considering the surprising pace that Red Jelly always ends up pulling on high pressure scenarios such as this. But there's already a DRS break as now Dungeon and YC end up bringing themselves back to the front of the race as the grid is starting to nicely order themselves into the position it was before. But remember, this has given Dungeon a second chance at life. If he can outpace YC for these next 5 laps, this could be a win for the Mercedes team. But keep in mind, YC now has the soft compound tire, when before he was only on medium, so Dungeon now has his work cut out for him. This is an equal battle in relatively equal machinery. Which one of the two drivers are going to break out in front? Dungeon Fanatics has a better line going into that curve, but YC is still holding on to the lead. Okay, I think he might have tapped the corner there, but Dungeon Fanatics still keeping some fairly good grip on the car. There's only 5 laps to go, and considering Dungeon has been shown to have really good burst pace is exactly what he needs here and now. Can he keep himself within the DRS range of YC? He finds more speed, but will he be able to get a good line heading into the starting line? We'll just have to wait and see. Dungeon gets a really nice line. I think that might have been tighter than YC as well, as he ends up, well, he doesn't get any closer, but he just has to keep on YC and pressure him into a mistake, considering how close both of the drivers are. But considering how did YC get DRS? What? Okay, that is beyond jank. But now, Heya has found his way into the top 3. There's announced that there's going to be no more safety car from this point. Red Jelly is starting to break position. Could he potentially lose P5 to Pocanaldo and Cynex? We'll just have to wait and see. YC is starting to get a gap on Dungeon Fanatics. This could be the final gap that he needs to take the first win of Season 2 for Apex Racing 2021. But again, he still has to seal it within the next 4 laps, and anything can happen in Project Apex. We've seen it in public lobbies, we've seen it in these league races, but Red Jelly guns it up to 4th now as Pocanaldo ends up making a fatal mistake. Could AlphaTauri find their way onto the podium if one of these drivers make a mistake? Red Jelly is actually closing the gap a decent amount as well, bringing it from 3 seconds to 2 seconds. Dungeon hasn't lost sight of YC. Is YC going to get buggy DRS? Yes, he does. Dungeon doesn't get DRS at all. Dungeon are completely robbed in the DRS zone there, and that might end up being what cost Dungeon the win. He does slightly tap one of the curbs, and now the difference is down to half a second, as Heya is now within the DRS train as well. Red Jelly only 2 seconds away, so 1 second away from potentially making it into the DRS train. Moto is trying to gun onto Beastover for P6. Pocanaldo is looking to try and get a jump on Cynex as well, but looking back at the front, YC, I think No, YC didn't make a mistake. That was just the laggy. Those were just the laggy cars confusing me. There's a yellow flag in Sector 1, as I think one of the drivers might have made some sort of a mistake. Yes, and it's a flip from Agent Timos. There's announced that there's going to be no safety car from this point onwards, so all of the drivers are going to have to watch out for Agent Timos' corpse. There's now 3 laps to go. Will Dungeon Defenders be able to gun his way ahead of YC, or will YC be able to maintain? It's now a battle for the podium as well between Hayat and Red Jelly. We'll have to wait and see how that ends. Okay, and YC ends up getting DRS again, as Dungeon, once again, isn't able to get his DRS flap open. This is looking to become more and more hopeless, as the game is just handing DRS to YC over and over and over, and this is the last time the Dungeon Defenders needs it, as now the clock is ticking. We're nearing the point where only 2 laps are left in the race. Dungeon needs to make a play here and now. But again, considering the amount of time that YC has ended up leading, he's gonna have to be forced into a serious mistake, as now he's starting to break through into the 600th mark. If he can break this DRS train, that might be what YC needs to secure his win. Dungeon trying everything he can to keep within that 1 second margin. It's starting to grow more and more. If Dungeon loses just 150 milliseconds, he won't have a chance to gun at him. Does YC end up getting DRS? Wait, did YC end up getting DRS again? No, he doesn't, but neither does Dungeon, so none of them are going to be able to gun any further. Dungeon still has one more chance if he's finally able to open his DRS flap and keeps within range of YC, after YC makes a pretty significant mistake with only 2 laps to go. Can YC keep up the pressure, or will Dungeon get his inaugural win for Apex Racing 21? I'm presuming it's an inaugural win because I haven't seen the earlier races, but it would be really cool if this was a battle for the inaugural win, so let's pretend this is his inaugural win, even if it is. Or if it's not, I don't care. Okay, and now, with only a 200th of a second for a gap, this could all come down to who the DRS decides to blast, as we now move on to the final lap of the race. Dungeon gets more pace over YC, but and Dungeon takes it really wide. What was he doing there? I think his controller might have had some sort of error, as now Dungeon's hopes for getting a race win have slipped away, and Red Jelly now has a chance to gun it into the podiums, as YC is now looking to cruise his way into a win. But now the real battle is if Red Jelly can keep the consistency and get a podium for AlphaTauri. YC now has a 4-second gap. He's looking very comfortable, but Red Jelly is starting to lose position to Dungeon Master. Beastimer wants to try and get a piece of that podium pie as well. Will it be a double Mercedes podium? Will an AlphaTauri find their way in? Will a Red Bull find their way in? The consistency is all too close to be able to make any calls right now. As now, with a 4-second gap, YC is only one corner away from taking the first win of Apex Racing 21. He kept things consistent. He got the win. YC wins the Canadian Grand Prix. But who's on podium? Is it a Red Bull? Is it Mercedes? Who's it gonna be? Oh, and Beastimer out of absolutely nowhere, after having so many small mistakes, gets onto the podium after such a chaotic finish. Red Jelly just about misses out on a podium. They're going to be celebrating over at Red Bull as the finishing order is Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull. What a battle for P3. Oh my word, if this is the kind of racing we have at Apex Racing 21, then I'm not going anywhere as long as you guys aren't going anywhere. That was incredible.
Race. Obviously, Dungeon on the last lap pretty much did a Lewis Hamilton in Baku, except it wasn't the start. It was the end of the race. And he choked it. I think he probably would have got DRS. Maybe both of them would have got DRS. But still, an amazing race. YSI definitely deserved that win. He led the race he led almost all of the race. But yeah, fair play to every single one of the drivers.
And also, we've got an announcement that YC has now successfully pulled off a Grand Slam in Apex Racing 21. Is this the first time he's pulled it off? The stewards are going to have to tell me if it is or not. Now, because that might be the first time.
The first time he's pulled off.
Yes, this is finally the first time that YC has ended up pulling off a Grand Slam in Apex Racing. For such a dominant racer, he must have been on the edge of his seat to try and get that achievement. But he ended up clutching it with so much pressure on his back. As now the drivers are driving on to the podium. And we'll give them a little bit of time to do that because, my God, I need a drink after that.
Oh my God. Did anyone see the top 5 being so close within each other?
I definitely saw that. That was what I was commentating over.
Did Mercedes get a double podium?
No, they didn't, because Red Jelly jumped in front of Dungeon, and then at the very last moment, Beaster found some pace and gunned it into P3. So yeah, a surprise P3 from Red Bull. Queso, can we not? Please, Queso, can we not? This time, please.
Okay.
I kind of want this moment to be a little bit more impactful.
Wait, no offense, man. You didn't read. Wait, no. Why I wasn't reading every lap?
Okay, hold on.
Because you have to read every
Queso,
lap.
can you just stay out of the shot, please? Okay, so at the... No, don't move forward. Do not move forward. You can see his shadow there. Don't you dare. Okay, thank you. It was a very close battle for all three of these drivers. Don't get it confused considering how often we've seen this result play out. But YC, after being under pressure from Beastiver for so long, he actually makes a pretty ironic remark saying, "No season, but no new winner." Oh, but there's also a remark from Hayar as well, telling him to wait. Hayar actually, okay, so at the front, it was very nearly going to be Dungeon getting his inaugural win, but on the very last lap, he ended up having a ton of grip ripped out of his own tires, and he couldn't make it through the first corner. And YC, after keeping it so consistent for so long, brings it into first, and it brings the Swedish Missile into the top of the standing. And also, let's not take anything away from the two podium sitters now, Beastiver and Hayar. They both had an incredible race with five different drivers all being in with a potential shot to get a podium. Red Jelly very nearly had it. It very nearly could have been an AlphaTauri in this position considering how they played the safety car. But in the end, it was Beastiver and Hayar who both found sudden pace all at the very end. Again, it was an incredible result for them, but honestly, I can't really say much beyond it. Queso, get off of the track! I tried to be nice with you for so long, but like, God. Anyway, so ignoring the wait.
What a goat.
So ignoring the I'm lost for words. This is just, okay. I'm just gonna close it out. I'll just really quick before this guy jumps into the shot again. Basically, Ferrari are on top, but it wasn't easy. Mercedes have been showing some consistent pace. Beastiver was able to fight his way into Q3. Corded. Okay. So the two things I want to say is, A, see you all in the second race, and B, Queso, keep your Kentucky Fried fetish away from me.
Oh, I didn't take a picture, so. Wow, I think the safety car playing.
Is he ready for all the pressure that's coming for him? Is he physically and mentally ready?
Fuck! It's lights out, and away we go!
Red flag.